Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars. Hello there. This is Dave, and you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of Star Wars, from industry insiders to indie artists, from mega collectors to obsessive mythologists, to find out how Star Wars impacted their life. Here's the thing, there's a lot of ways to look at Star Wars, and it's all from a certain point of view. And that point of view is yours. And let's face it, we all love what we all love about Star Wars. I believe that hearing someone talk passionately about what they love can open your own mind to new ways of thinking about things. Also, let's admit it, it's just fun to talk Star Wars. So I want to change the conversation from what is right or wrong about Star Wars to what does Star Wars mean to you? Today, it's Thursday, May 18th, episode 13, my conversation with writer Ben Acker. I'm still figuring out the best way to release this show for you, the loyal listener, so I've decided to dispense with the part 1 and part 2 and provide a shorter, more digestible version of the conversation. But don't worry, I'll have more to announce on how to get the entire interview shortly. Spoiler alert, it rhymes with Smatreon. Anyway, before our discussion, Ben and I talked about Patreon and creative exclusives, and he offered one up to me, which I couldn't pass up. So you'll want to stay until the very, very end of this show because I'm excited to present a What Does Star Wars Mean to You exclusive as Ben reads Chapter 1 from his hypothetical book, The Revenge of Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, which highlights Ben's hysterical and slightly twisted vision of the Star Wars universe. And you can hear that at the very end of this episode. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. If you're liking the show, please give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Before we get to Ben, one thing I wanted to touch on this week is the rumor that Dave Filoni's movie is going to be called Heir to the Empire. Now, this is a rumor that is trending on Twitter right now, and I absolutely don't believe it. I don't think in any way does Lucasfilm call this movie Heir to the Empire. This feels more like fan fiction. I'm going to talk about the Disney side of this and why calling it Heir to the Empire is a trap that they will avoid. It will never be Zahn's Heir to the Empire because they don't have the pieces to make it. They would either have to reimagine it for the Mandalorian cast, or cast a new Luke, Han, and Leia, or have to create them with deepfake. Now this is all part of the trap. Why risk setting up your movie for negative fan reaction on either casting new Luke, Han, and Leia, or deepfaking them? They have a successful series on their hand, and they shouldn't want to rock that boat by including a big swing that would set them up for a negative reaction. So let's play out the second part of the trap. Say they announce the title as Heir to the Empire. What do they get? Well, the fans who read and loved the books will say, yay! But what happens when they see the movie and it's not a mostly faithful adaptation of Zahn's books from the 90s? A percentage of these same fans freak out and get on Twitter and decry the abuse they suffer from the hands of Lucasfilm. Why would Disney set themselves up for that? They won't. Add to this that Ahsoka mutters the line in the trailer for her show. That's intentional because it implies the return of Thrawn. It reaches those fans of Thrawn without promising the story from Zahn. That's a pretty good rhyme scheme right there. Anyway, finally, there's money and press to be made from the announcement of the title. Disney is the king, well, maybe the princess of this strategy. You create a lot of events, and to get people to those events, you promise exclusive announcements. Look at what they did with Star Wars Celebration just this year. They controlled the entertainment media weekend with the headlines of announcing those 3 movies. So they are going to make sure that when they announce this title, it's going to be something that surprises the fans and something that they can go on to sell brand new merchandise that has the brand new title and brand new logo of Dave Filoni's movie. And that's why I think Disney won't call Filoni's film Heir to the Empire. Of course, difficult to see, always in motion the future is. Tell me what you think. Why or why not should it be called Heir to the Empire? Let me know on Twitter and Instagram at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. And one more thing before I get to this conversation with Ben. I discovered I cannot pronounce the word canonical. I was saying conical throughout the interview and meant canonical. So with that little bit of oops, here's my conversation with Ben Acker. Today, our guest is a writer of all kinds of media. He's the co-creator of the live stage show and podcast, The Thrilling Adventure Hour, in the style of old-timey radio, has written for Marvel Comics on Wolverine, Thunderbolts, and Deadpool and Gambit, and has also written for Star Wars comics, as well as the Star Wars Join the Resistance series of books. That's a lot of writing, but there's still more, because his first collection of short stories, Stories to Keep You Alive Despite Vampires, was just released last year. Let's give a warm, why hello there, to Ben Acker. Hello, Ben.
Why hello there.
I get a Ben saying why hello there to me. That's kind of great.
It's from the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm a big fan. Looking forward to finding out what Star Wars means to you.
Me too. I decided to do no prep. Everyone at home, please stop applauding your podcast devices now and sit down. Because you're just going to clap over all this great conversation.
Yeah, we don't know when to pause. We're going to keep going. You know,
we can't, look, the audience is the third character. We acknowledge you. We're clapping in our hearts for you. So please, let's all agree we love each other very much. And stop clapping. Please stop clapping and sit down.
I still hear one in Minnesota.
I insist that you listen to podcasts sitting down. Don't clean anything. Don't be driving is sitting.
Don't walk anywhere. Don't walk the dog.
Don't walk don't listen to this in the gym. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
This will not keep your heart rate up.
No. We're going to be thoughtful and warm.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's not heart rate stuff. This is as heart rate up as we get. Me yelling at you about don't listen to this in the gym. All right. This has been Star Wars, Mixed Star Wars, the Star Wars podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
Ben, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to hear everything.
I'm on Twitter at Instagram.org and follow me on your journey through life. That ought to sell some books.
Yeah. People are going to be like, oh, I got to read this guy.
This guy's all over the place. Probably his book is.
Yeah. My first question, Ben, are you ready to tell everyone what does Star Wars mean to you? Although I feel like we got that.
Yeah. It means all of that and more. Is that the question?
That's the question.
What does Star Wars mean to me? Yeah.
No, are you ready to tell?
Yes. Yes. I didn't even think about it. And now I'm thinking about it. And I am ready.
Excellent.
Fire away.
I like to start with something with something I call 5 with the Force. It's a standard set of 5 questions that I ask all my guests.
Rapid fire. Thoughtful.
Rapid fire.
Multiple
Sometimes we go back and forth. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that's an interesting answer, and we move on.
All right, cut all this out. I'm just kidding.
And thank you for joining me on What Does Star Wars Mean to You?
Glad to be here.
Which Star Wars movie is your go-to favorite?
I'm going to say, and I think this is a controversial opinion, but I'm going to say the one that I'm most likely to just throw on or catch some of and be like, meh, I'm going to stick around for this.
Yeah.
Is the one Star Wars movie called Star Wars, The Force Awakens.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
What is it about that one that makes you gives you the feels?
The original trilogy was a real good thing when I was a kid. Like, I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
But to revisit it, I don't feel like it has more for me. Like, yeah. I love Han Solo a lot. I do not care for the droids so much. I think that a case could be made that it would be a more fun scene if R2-D2 talked instead of
Yeah.
beeped and booped. Like having had the opportunity to read a Star Wars script while I was doing tie-in comic books.
Yeah.
R2-D2's a funny little guy. Like they have what he says, as you know. I just saw a clip recently of Peter Mayhew, the actor in the suit, saying the lines that Chewbacca is saying, and it's so fun. His thick accent, like it's really working class and like so great. And I don't know, like the thing about Force Awakens to me is it feels like all the good stuff in it is intentional.
Yes.
Which is kind of a sick burn. But like, I feel like George Lucas had a million ideas and was like, let's get them all in there. Right? And like, it's charming, but it's a lot of beeps and boops and a lot of like, I love Han Solo. He should not talk to that princess like that. No, you know? That's true, it's a boring conversation anyway, is King Hell great, awesome thing. But like, am I going to watch the whole, like and also like, I probably know it in my bones. Yeah. So watching it is like, yeah, this stuff happens. And Force Awakens is like, all right, this stuff happens.
Yeah. You know? It's in, I see what you mean, that it's more intentional. It's also has more representation. Just sure. I like the way you phrase that. It's the best of everything. And
I think that like it's funny because like it goes over the easiest. I think that the best sequences in Star Wars are in Rian Johnson's movie. I think like that ship ramming that other ship, and I think the the laser sword fight in the Red Room are like the best Star Wars could be. But like as a like easy watch, I would say like it just fun and it's a groove. The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I get that. So what this is, I have to roll 1d6 for this one.
Okay.
5 is, what is your favorite alien from the Star Wars franchise? Can be anything too. It can be
gut reaction, no thought about it. Hammerhead.
Oh, really?
Because it was from the cantina, because it was the toy that I treasured from the movie. Like it was, I don't know. There's it feels like it's textural, the toy. Like that's
it's very bumpy, and it has that strange, like that looped shaped head, kind of like a
hammer
head. A hammerhead. Yes.
Or hammerhead head, I guess they call them. That's my gut response. Greedo was fun to, what are they called?
Rhodians.
Yeah, it was fun to write a Rhodian.
But what made him fun to write, a Rhodian?
Well, it was he was the opposite of Greedo. He was just the most excited character in the book. Like he was just the fun, let's have an adventure kind of kid. I don't know. So there, okay. All that said, there's an argument to be made for Sarlacc and what do you call the Rancor and the
the slug monster from the meteor that they landed.
Yeah. Was that like it was the giant dragony?
Yes,
right,
like the hand puppet.
Yeah. But
I always called it a slug monster. I don't know if they refer to it in canon or not, but that's just how
it seems like an ensmallment of.
Yes, it does.
That was. When we were writing the books, we got to like meet at Lucas and talk to the keepers of the myths and all. And I asked them. This is like the preliminary meeting where they showed us some of the what do you call the Force Awakens, the PowerPoint version of it, and then they were like, and then it ends with a Star Wars. You don't need to know, but we were able to like ask any questions that we had, and I realized I had a question. My question was, what kind of alien is Yoda? And they said, nobody knows. Like, it's one of the great Star Wars mysteries. And I was like, great, we're going to answer it extensively in our book. And they looked at me like, no, you're not going to. But like the politest. They have the patience, those story group, because they've heard every writer's every bit, I'm sure, for like 1,000 years. So they're like, they've just practiced it like being cool with
Yeah.
whatever your bits are.
Just yes-anding until the meeting's over.
Not even yes-anding, like on no uncertain terms you're going to do that. Like you're not going to be able to do that. No. But we acknowledge that it is meant in humor and it's very funny and you're special. And thank you for coming. Would you like a juice box?
Yes.
But like in a non-patronizing, like in a we're all friends here kind of way.
What is your favorite line to quote?
Don't get cocky? Is that the line?
Okay, yeah.
Don't get cocky, kid.
Yeah.
Maybe. I also, you know what I like? 3PO help! Where could he be?
When they're in the trash compactor.
It's so adolescent. Oh, where's my robot? Come on, man! Oh.
That would be cool to do, like a performance of lines cut from the movie of just Luke whining.
I was just about to say, my favorite line to quote from the movie is a cut line that is, wait, there's totally try. There's obviously absolutely try.
I tried to land here.
Right, you're crazy. I mean, like, what do you think we're doing here?
It would be nice if Luke knew everything that happened when he was with Yoda, and Yoda was like, do or do not. There is no try. And he goes, what, like you tried with Sidious? Oh, I'm sorry, you did not.
I will tell you my favorite line to quote is when Darth Vader says to the assembly of bounty hunters, I want them in one piece. And then looks right at Boba Fett and is like,
yes.
No disintegrations.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett, who is just a simple farm boy, says the three words that we all know mean, I love you as you wish.
There could be a theory there.
I love that text.
Yeah. Where Boba Fett is really the Dread Pirates Roberts.
Yeah, Boba Fett is, my favorite line from Star Wars is, I can always kill you tomorrow. Where whoever takes them, and then he inevitably takes the mantle of the Boba Fett, the Dread bounty hunter Boba Fett, and terrorizes the galaxy.
Yeah, I feel like in the non-canonical, like the Legends series of the books, there was a story about Boba Fett that was kind of like that people took his armor and kind of recreated him after he died. I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah, I've been wrong today, and I haven't even talked to anybody but you.
Can you do any Star Wars impressions or impersonations?
I just did, right? Where could he be?
Yes, you did. You just did. A great Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Pitch perfect, right?
It was. Yeah. I mean, you got the kind of the wine exactly correct.
Thank you. Wasn't fishing like what I caught. Absolutely was fishing, right? I said I did it perfect, right? That's fishing.
Yeah. I was baited and I took the hook.
You took the hook. You got it right in the lip.
And finally, besides the movies, what is your favorite Star Wars content? This could be a TV show, a comic book, a novel, a game, anything.
I love the Tag and Bink. I don't know if it's my favorite. Like, I don't know.
Kevin Rubio.
There's something about like, it might be, what is the word I'm looking for? It might be uncharismatic to say, but like getting to play with the Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
Was so much fun that like the idea that I got to make a villain out of the stormtrooper that said, move along.
Yep.
And play with that guy throughout his career. Writing from a certain point of view, writing that story Bump, where it explained like and made grand the bump that he did walking into the room. Yeah. There's a bit in there's a bit in our third Star Wars novel where,
and this is the Join the Resistance novel.
Join the Resistance. The third one after that, so it's years later. It's the last trilogy era Star Wars, and that stormtrooper has been punished, but is trying to make a new name for himself in the new baddies, and he's setting up a prison planet. And there's a droid in our gang of Goonies in Star Wars, which is essentially the pitch for the book. And there's a droid, and he blames droids for his failure. So he really, like, in the second book, was not nice to that droid. And in the third book, like in the big everything is going down explosions, the planet's about to be destroyed by the things that happen in the movie, that droid is piloting a ship and this guy is getting in the way of it, stop, and he's got his gun out or his blaster out, and the droid says, "I'm the droid you've been looking for your whole life," as he runs him down with a spaceship. That's like getting to make that and canon.
Yes.
Like that's my favorite.
That's true.
And I'm sorry to your audience that I am in my favorite thing, that I am the one who executed it. But aren't I a clever boy?
And you are. Bait taken. No. It's a great thing to be a part of the canonical Star Wars universe and to get to not just play in the sandbox, to literally be an author of the world. Was that, for lack of a better way of asking this, was that a lifelong dream of yours? Was that something you've always, like, was Star Wars something you wanted to get to be a part of?
It never occurred to me that I could, right? Like when we got the phone call asking us if we wanted to play with their toys, my writing partner and I said, one of us said, do we have to get off the phone and pretend to talk about it, or can we just say yes right now?
Yeah.
You know, it was, once it became a thing that we could do, it was like, oh yeah, no, I've wanted this forever. Like there have been certain opportunities. I got to write some Flash Gordon comics. I put Flash in a Queen t-shirt, which like felt karmic and wonderful. Like it's other people, like the things that I grew up on. Of course, it's the dream you didn't know you had, where you get to do that thing.
Cinema Craptaculous is your podcast destination for all things movies, good and bad, streaming series, good and bad, and pop culture, good, bad, and the ugly. You get a totally different show every week, such as People Also Watched with Adam, Dave, and Tara. They're three industry insiders who always find the hilarity in the big-budget feature and the lesser-known feature you may have missed. There is, of course, the Expanded Universe. This is your place to geek out. John, Doc, and S'more are your geek experts to talk about what's going on in the world of streaming series, movies, superheroes, pretty much any showbiz geek topic, they're going to talk about it. And, of course, there's the show that started it all, Cinema Craptaculous, with Stephanie, John, and Dave. You don't even need to have seen the movies these guys talk about to have a good time. So what are you waiting for? Go and subscribe to Cinema Craptaculous wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Let's go back then to young Ben and take me through the first, if you remember, when Star Wars first, like for us, you may have been super young when you saw the movie. You may not remember seeing it for the first time. So I guess my question is, did you?
I don't remember seeing it for the first time. I've just always had seen it.
Yes. That's kind of how I have.
But I remember like getting toys for the first time. Like I remember calling my mom from outside a McDonald's on a payphone saying, "We got Darth Vader. We're going to McDonald's." Dad's letting me bring Darth Vader into the McDonald's. It was a giant day.
Wow. Which were your favorite toys?
I mean, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Hammerhead, some stormtroopers, some like different kinds of stormtroopers,
like the snowtrooper or the Viking Scout.
R5D4.
Yeah,
like there's some weird Star Wars characters that I know their names because I had like R5D4 feels to some, I think, like a deep pull, but it was like he was boxier and orange. He was like I don't know. I don't know that I had R2D2, but I had R5D4, and that was important. Man, I would have to look, and I bet it would be like, oh yeah, those guys. You know, I did not have the AT-AT. Robert Rysdale had AT-AT. He had the Millennium Falcon. I had did you ask my favorite toy or action figure?
Either.
Because the lightsaber was my favorite toy.
The old school plastic.
Yeah. No, I don't. Was it telescoping? I don't think it was.
Did it not telescope?
It might have, but I feel like this was before where it just like it made the noise. It made like through like air coming into it.
Yeah, it had like a hole at the top.
No, and I say all that, and I'm like, no. Now that you're making me think of it like a taskmaster of memory, the gun, the blaster, Han Solo's blaster. That was the best.
Yes.
By a million miles, that was the best.
Yes.
It had, I think, different settings. Woo, 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 and pew, pew. Like, man, yeah. And it had heft, and it was like all black. It was a gun toy, the kind they don't make anymore.
No.
One of the things that made me happy in life was the carrying case that was Darth Vader's head.
Yes. I still have it. I still have
Nice.
that I keep my figures in. So you said Star Wars. You've seen Star Wars. It was like you've always had it in your life. Mm-hmm. What was your day-to-day interaction with Star Wars? Because back then there was the toys, and that was about it. Now we have like video games and books.
There were the toys. There was like book on record set. There was a John Williams score. I feel like I didn't have that. I feel like I had the Superman one on record, like as a kid, not like on a record album. And there was a cookbook. I remember making the sugar cookie in the shape of the Death Star. My father made an R2-D2, pinned the lightsaber on the R2-D2 thing for a birthday party one time. That was great. I don't know how he did it. There was no internet to go, how do you draw R2-D2? He wasn't the kind of guy who did that thing. He was a lawyer from the suburbs of DC, but he made a fantastic, like, pitch perfect R2-D2, drew it on a big poster thing, and then lightsabers. I don't know. I had the bed sheets.
Yeah,
I was all in.
Yes,
Empire Strikes Back bed sheets because Lando was on them. Oh, that's a good quote, a good Star Wars quote when they walk in to Cloud City and Darth Vader's like, "Hey guys, you want some lunch?" I like that line.
Yeah,
you guys want to get some lunch?
Could you pass the salt?
Oh no, that was the thing we did in college. Was my housemates would do the force hand at whatever they wanted to be passed. like if there was a bottle of soda on the other end of the table, they just point at the soda with 3 fingers out and start shaking their hand, and then someone would grab the soda and start shaking it, and then whoosh it into their hand. A good bit. Purely physical. I hope you podcasters have great imagination. Podcastees, sorry.
Just so you know, he made the force pull look with his hand, 2 fingers out, slightly crooked, with the thumb out, pointing towards the object he wished to be in his hand.
Just Google force hand. Image search. Force hand.
So you had a lot of friends who were into Star Wars. Did you have like a was everyone in your so-called clique, your little kid group, were they all into Star Wars the way you were into it?
I believe so. I don't. Yes, they must have been, because Robert Rysdale had all that stuff. Yeah. I'm going to say a safe bet. It was. I mean, like we were the perfect age for action figures when Return of the Jedi came out, and it was the panderiest to that age.
Yeah. Well, did you enjoy Return of the Jedi when it came out?
At the time, yes. Now I have some notes.
You have a re-edit in mind.
Oh my gosh. If at the end of the thing when Darth Vader throws the Emperor Man into the abyss, right? Like Darth Vader is the biggest villain badass ever. Yeah. And the Emperor is, he's an old dude, whatever.
Old guy.
No offense, old guys. But like, I remember watching it as like the first time in my late teens, early 20s. Must have been late teens, right? Where I'm watching it going like, that's so like such a bum out that Darth Vader just got hit by a bunch of lightning and then was like, coughed blood into a hanky and had a dramatic death. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if Darth Vader, like out of the blue, shielded his thoughts from his boss, punched him so hard his neck spun all the way around, and then kicked his body into the hole, and to the utter shock of the stormtroopers in the room who sounded the alarm, and then every stormtrooper and every Rancor and every monster, everybody on that Death Star came for Luke and Darth Vader, who had to fight it out together in like a blasters versus lightsabers, and these two guys finding who they are to each other in a giant battle. It's like that, get the Kill Bill choreographers to come in and like just massive, but with the small moments of like, hey, I'm sorry I was evil. Like, yeah, balancing the force is overrated. Let's just both be good, cool. And then like the ultimate act of self-sacrifice, right, is Darth Vader taking a blaster that was meant for Luke or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like make it the most exciting sequence of film as opposed to like, oh yes, the lightning got me, so sorry, I'm dead. I'm a big blobby dead guy.
That was one of my favorite quotes from the end of Return of the Jedi. I'm a big blobby dead guy.
And put back the Chewbacca's. Take it back to the Wookiee planet.
The Wookiee planet. Yeah,
get rid of the,
put it back on Cassia.
Yeah, I guess that's my notes. That's my main notes.
When you're working with Ben Blacker as your co-writer, when you're working together, do you just like brainstorm a bunch of ideas together, or is it more like I forget the name of that game, something Corpse?
Exquisite Corpse.
Exists.
Oh my God, is there someone in the background?
No, I just hit.
Looked like a ghost.
I hope it's not a ghost.
I hope so for yours. Force ghosts though. It could be on topic and friendly.
Yeah, it'll just stand there and smile at me.
The way we write varies and has evolved. We've been writing together a long time. So sometimes, like we'll brainstorm everything together mostly, and then like go back and forth with drafts most of the time.
Now, do you ever? This is a dumb question, but I just thought it.
I'm sure I have a dumber answer.
Do you ever use the action figures as props to kind of brainstorm your theory, or do you play with the toys still?
No,
and
that feels like a dumb answer because I feel like we should.
No,
but no, they did provide us with like books like full of referencey stuff. So we did the wear a monocle and drink champagne version of that, which is to go, oh, this is a lovely alien. Let's use one of these for here. We did have in the second book, we had a Wookiee that they were like they met in the prison situation.
Yeah.
And they were like, we already have a Wookiee in prison and a thing coming up that turned out to be Solo.
Yep.
So they had to switch it out for a different kind of hairy creature.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't remember what kind it was because I'm far enough away from it, but it was like a white, it wasn't the one from Empire. It wasn't the Yeti from Empire, but it was a Yeti, I think, from Rogue One. Was there like a white furred creature?
I'm sure there was, and I'm trying to place it, and I'm getting nothing. But I have troubles with the like Rogue One, anything after 2014. Because I just haven't seen it like I've seen.
Oh, troubles pulling.
Yeah.
You're not like, let me take issue with Rogue One. Rogue One's pretty great.
No.
I really like Rogue One. Like that might be that like it's neck and neck, Rogue One and
Force Awakens.
What Rogue One is just a good, like I love remember when The Matrix came out and they released the Animatrix, which was just a bunch of different like animators doing their versions of stories in that universe.
Yeah.
I love that. Like the Star Wars universe is big enough to support that kind of like other tones and all the Andors it wants to do, you know.
Well, are you a fan of Andor?
I liked it. I couldn't quote it to you.
Oh no. I the only thing I can quote is I can't swim. And when
that was a good bit. That was a good moment.
Yeah. But what I find interesting about Andor is it seems to take away all the trappings of Star Wars and still feels like Star Wars to me.
Yeah, which like great, do that, you know.
Yeah, it also shows the malleability of this world where you can have a horror story within the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of genre would you like to see them explore in the Star Wars universe?
I mean, I love the let's get outside the Skywalker family. Yeah. You know, let's not have everybody be relatives. Like all that. I want, you know, I love, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of potential to the crimey stuff in the, what was it? Boba Fett? The other one.
Mandalorian. Yeah.
Like there was like fun, Western-y, crimey. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Boba Fett.
I get a little as a guy who trafficked in a space Western for a while. I get a little particular in my space westerns. And it's mostly just like, let me do that one. But yeah, like I like the notion of like, let's see what the Hutts do and like play with that mafia thing.
Are you a fan of the prequels at all? Because we touched upon the OT in the sequel trilogy, but not really the prequel trilogy.
Have you ever seen, there was a YouTube thing that went around that was, what if the Phantom Menace was good?
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
It was a development guy going, here's the thing, like, let's take what the movie was as a first draft and what a healthy development process would have pulled out as themes and threads and like the stuff to definitely include, and then figure out the story around that. And he laid out using like shots from the movie, and when it got away from stuff from the movie, storyboard stuff that he had a friend draw, and just took you through a really compelling version of that story. It's great. It's highly worth your time. It's maybe 15 minutes. And he did one for each of the others that got further away from the movies and more based on what he had set up in those. But that there's a good story in there. But it's those movies were never for me. They were for a different generation of person. So like I absolutely fault them for it. But yeah, no, I don't rate those prequels at all, except for as like really an interesting thing to have done with the thing that is your thing that you made. Yeah. And Duel of the Fates?
Yeah, Duel of the Fates.
That slaps. That is such a good tune.
It is.
That's worth keeping.
Yeah. What is your favorite Star Wars memory?
I'll give you a strong one. My favorite Star Wars memory. Okay. Honestly, when we released this is all self-indulgent stuff. Nobody can relate to this because it's not.
I'm going to start a show called "What Does Ben Acker Mean to You?"
And then, I can't. I would either love or hate to listen to it, depending on my mood. So when we did the first book, the first Star Wars book, Join the Resistance, we had a book release party benefit show. Mm-hmm. We did it at Largo, which is the venue we did our Thrilling Adventure Hour show for years. And it was, we raised money for a good cause, selling tickets to this thing. And that's very nice. We had a bunch of guests, Michael Cicchino among them.
Who is the conductor?
The composer for Rogue One. He did Star Wars ass sea shanties. It was very funny and great. Good dude. And like, watch what he's directing, because he's directing some cool stuff. He did the Werewolf by Night Marvel thing. He's like the top, he's one of the top 3 guys, probably. Yeah. Maybe top 2 guys doing movie scores right now. And he's also like a brilliant director, which is not fair at all. And
no, it's not.
Yeah. Anyway, and also like the sweetest artist. Anyway, this isn't a Michael Giacchino fan cast. That night we did this thing, and we got to do some fun Star Wars sketches that I'd written over the years that included the As You Wish bit. and we had Weird Al, who's a friend of the show, and we asked him. He did the Anakin American Pie song with Sarah Watkins, who's in Nickel Creek and is a powerhouse of folk and bluegrass, and it was lovely, right? And we asked him if he would do, and we had I think the section was the name of this like teeny tiny orchestra, but we had like the biggest orchestra ever assembled on a Largo stage, and Jordan Katz is a band leader who like got them all rehearsed and sheet musicked and ready to go. I think he is massively to credit with this, but we asked Al if he was comfortable doing Yoda, and he's like, no, I don't do. He doesn't do most of his songs without most of his band, right? Like that's just a thing that makes all the sense in the world. And we said, would you be cool if we did Yoda? And he's like, oh, if you did Yoda, I'd do it with you, but as long as it's not me doing Yoda.
Yes.
And so we passed out cheap dollar store lightsabers that lit up. Everybody who'd been on the show, which is, full of Star Wars people and Star Wars fans, came on the stage. And Dare to Be Stupid was one of my first audio tapes I ever got. It was Run DMC's Raising Hell and Dare to Be Stupid on my birthday in 5th grade were my first 2 tapes. So singing Yoda next to Weird Al, who's also singing Yoda on the Largo stage where I come from, in celebration of my first thing in the Star Wars universe that I got to make. Yeah. That is my favorite Star Wars memory. Singing Yoda with Weird Al.
I can feel that for you. I mean, that would be mine too if I had experienced that. That's a great, great memory.
And everyone at home who loves Star Wars can remember where they were and what they were doing when they sang Yoda with Weird Al.
Yeah, exactly.
Very relatable content. Star Wars was so good to us. Like, we got to go to Celebration and like share the panel with like legit awesome Star Wars writers and immersed in the Star Wars thing. Like, it was a great world to be a part of.
Are there still stories you would like to tell in the Star Wars universe, or do you feel like?
Yes, there are. In fact, I'm prepared to for your Patreon. I have. There was a show at the San Francisco Sketch Fest called Worst First Chapter, where you'd invent the first chapter of a book, a terrible, terrible book. And I turned one of the lost Star Wars sketches. We were going to do a Star Wars sketch show for the second book release, but it was at Comic-Con in New York, and like there were too many other. The planning got away from us, and there was too many other shows that night. So it was like, we didn't get to do it. So there was a handful of Star Wars stuff in that, but also all this to say, like, it's an alternate version of Empire Strikes Back, like from a different point of view. I've written this first chapter of, and I'm glad to, when we're all wrapped here, read it so that you can have a bonus content or put it at the end of the podcast if you like. Oh,
that'd be great. Yeah.
Also, I do not have to do that. Let me just say, what is more indulgent than let me solo for 5 minutes. So like you can cut all of this and just have the answer be, there's a retelling of Empire Strikes Back that I'd love to do from a different point of view. And like, I don't know, I'd love to do something a little more in our tone, maybe.
Yeah, a little more of a comedy, a little
comedy-er, or like, I don't know. I feel like if you got all of the stuff set up, like, let me do a space western too. Let's hang out in the cantina or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, there's stuff, but I would have to like really, besides this Empire thing, I'd have to like give it more thought,
And I definitely want to. I want to get that Empire thing. Yeah. Because that would be a great bonus piece. And then because I
love it and I want it out in the world. Yeah, that's fine. Like, it does me no good sitting on my hard drive,
Also, I know that you can still stream the show that you're talking about, that Star Wars show, on a Vimeo, and all proceeds go to a certain charity. I'll put that link in the podcast notes as well.
Great.
As someone who's worked within the world and contributed to Star Wars, what are the top 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
Oh, interesting. Epic scale, absolute humanity, and like how do I put it? The wry, like the funny, the character comedy of like, this conversation's boring anyway. Boring conversation anyway. Or like, who talks first? Like, that's when you knew that movie was going to be great. Who talks first? You?
Yeah. You?
Like,
I'm still holding.
Lived in the epic scale, but lived in, right?
Yes.
Like the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. One of the differences between Star Wars and Star Trek is like there's dirt in that spaceship.
Yeah. Well, one's an Apple store, the other feels like you're in the back alleys of Wall Street, Walmart.
Mm-hmm. It's put together model kit style or whatever.
Yes.
Like what parts have we got? Here are these ones. Hit it with a hammer till it works. Yeah, kit bashing. There it is.
Okay, so my final question for you, and this is always hard when I talk to people who like have worked with, officially worked with the product.
Did Javi work with it? Did Javi do any Star Wars, or is he just a super fan?
He was working on something.
But he couldn't.
Oh. Yeah, he couldn't tell me.
All right. Yeah. Cool. It's coming back.
Yeah. Okay, so my final question for you. You go to Skywalker Ranch, and there at the gates, George Lucas greets you. What do you say to him?
Man, you named the dog Indiana? Nah, I don't know. He probably gets it a lot. No, I'd start with hello and work my way up, you know? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the natural instinct is to like say something fawning, but like it's a dude, right? Like be a person. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. None of that is good.
No, it's all
like I feel like this is you just did the inside the actor studio if God exists, and when you get to heaven, what would you like him?
That's where I stole it from.
That's right. So it's like you want something like you want something pithy and clever. You want to look George Lucas dead in the eye on meeting him and go, "Great kid, don't get cocky," or whatever that line is. Is that the line?
That's
don't get cocky,
line.
kid.
Great shot, kid. Don't get cocky.
Yeah, like, but something. I don't know. Like, I'm like a hi guy. I'm a nice to meet you, pal, guy. You know, a person's a person, and he did great things. But like, we know those things, and like, it would be cool to like go. What's this guy all about? Like, he does interesting charity work. Like his like nonprofit stuff is really compelling and like arguably where his passions are. Like. Right? I don't know.
No, absolutely.
Also, I bet if he like in the scenario where we meet him, I'm going to add that like we're going to go to dinner, and I bet that dinner's great. You know,
and he probably picks up the bill.
Oh,
I mean,
there's no world where he doesn't pick up every bill he meets. You know, I mean, what an interest! Like from a creative standpoint, this is a guy who has the most complicated relationship with the thing he made himself, the audience of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if the prompt is like, what do you want to get the most out of a meeting with George Lucas? I would love to hear any of that story. I would love to hear like, what's Alec Guinness like? Yeah. You know, like what, like he worked with Christopher Lee, right?
Yep.
Like what Christopher Lee stories do you have? Like what was it like as a movie as like an iconic generational movie fan to get to work with these guys who must have been your guys you watched coming up? Like that's what I'd like. It's less pithy and less like what do you say? But like I would love to know like what was it like? How long were you burning with Star Wars before you got to tell it? Like what do you wish that you'd gotten to do if you didn't have Star Wars hanging over you? Like what lights you up about the thing that you made still? What lit you up then? Like, I don't know. I would love to like open that like creative brain and that pop culture influence. What was it like to watch Jaws? You know, like what was it like to be in this place, in this moment of the change? And do you feel bad about it at all? Like, do you feel guilty for the blockbuster?
Yeah.
You know, if we're drinks in and can, you know, have the freedom
really open up. Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it's way past like, nice to meet you. Yeah. I would probably say you have a lovely home, knowing me. I would look around, I'd take it in. I would say you have a lovely home. And the best sandbox to play in
the world.
Thanks for sharing it.
Amazing. Thank you, Ben, for sharing what Star Wars means to you. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I really enjoyed this.
It was a pleasure to be here. It's funny because you saying the title of the show makes me think I would ask George Lucas what Star Wars means to him.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday you'll get to do that.
I got to get him on this show.
That's your white whale, right?
It is. It is.
There's your series finale.
Yeah. And maybe a season finale.
That's right, because there's some way to top that.
Yeah, there's some way. There would be no way to top that.
Oh my gosh.
So where can people find you, Ben?
People can find me on two of the socials, Instagram and Twitter. I am on both of those at BNACKER, which is how most people pronounce my name for Ecclesiastes. Follow me there. If you like pictures of my dog, go to Instagram. His name is Steven, and he's a good boy. If you like nonstop great hilarity and also some bitterness at government bullshit, appropriate for a children's book author, that is my Twitter for you. And please buy my book, Stories to Keep You Alive Despite Vampires. It is created for people who are kids or have a sense of humor. It's ghost stories, campfire tales, like you might expect. A little sillier, but like also like they're in good and true.
Again, Ben, thank you so much for joining us and telling us what Star Wars means to you. And look forward to listening to more Thrilling Adventure Hour. Look forward to the book. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait until your next Star Wars adventure in the sandbox.
I look forward to it. I just waggled my eyebrows.
Yeah. And it was cute and endearing and kind.
Thank you. Cut all the parts of this that I wasn't.
So that's what Star Wars means to Ben Acker. And right after this, he reads Chapter 1 of his book that doesn't exist yet, The Revenge of Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. But first, what was your favorite Star Wars toy? Do you think Return of the Jedi could use some of those edits? Let us know and get in on the conversation on Twitter or Instagram at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. If you're liking the show, please give us a 5-star rating and review. And remember, the Force will be with you always. And now, a What Does Star Wars Mean to You exclusive. I just wanted to do that.
You ready?
I am ready.
All right. From the book, Revenge of Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, Chapter 1, Unauthorized Tauntaun. It was cold as crap on Hoth. No, it was even colder. And it was wet, and everyone wore boots around, so the whole of Echo Base sounded like a dry erase board in constant use with all the squeaking everyone made when they walked around in their wet boots. Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro was a man with purpose. Also, he was a man with an assistant officer who was also a man known as Assistant Officer Crumberly Whiffs. Whiffs also had a purpose, and that's where things got complicated. Whiffs' purpose was at once the same purpose as Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro's specific purpose in that moment, but also abstractly, but maybe even more concretely, Whiffs' purpose was assisting Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro in whatever his purpose was, whenever he had one, which was always. So yeah, complicated. And yet, it couldn't have been more simple. Today, at this moment, all of Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro and Whiffs' shared purposes were as serious as a Rancor fire and twice as urgent. The squeaky squee of their boots sounded to Whiffs like what the lasers on the X-Wing spaceships must have sounded like in the assault on the Death Star. A barrage of squeaks, an onslaught of squeaks, sounding as they did to Whiffs' ears' imagination like lasers, and honestly, those lasers in his ears' imagination sounded like hope, because they had blown up the Death Star and struck a blow to the Empire, of which Whiffs was not a fan. Whiffs had never been off of Hoth, which was an icy planet or an Arctic moon or something, and he dreamed of rising up through the bureaucratic ranks customary of ragtag rebel groups off his cold planet or moon and into warm space. Whiffs' imagination worked against him in Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro's esteem, but only because Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro didn't have time for thought excursions and what might that be likes. Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro was a man with a purpose as concrete as a composite material composed of fine and coarse aggregate bonded together with a fluid cement that hardens over time. Today, that purpose held in its hands the fate of a galactic hero, and so Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro and Whiffs raced with boots like lasers towards another galactic hero as he entered the tunnel. The tunnel was important to Whiffs. It loomed large in his memory. He had grown up here in this tunnel, had his first kiss here. He graduated from primary academy here. His mother died here, as he would someday die here, but not today. Today, he was here on business, and business was booming. Sir, Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro said, and Han Solo, the second of the galactic heroes previously mentioned, turned scoundrelly to face Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, and Whiffs Commander Skywalker, Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro continued, naming the first previously mentioned galactic hero by name before saying the rest of the words in the sentence to contextualize why he had said Commander Skywalker's name, hasn't come in through the south entrance. You might have forgotten to check in. The words hung in the air like only the most important words do, no matter what the air's chemical composition was. Was their gravity felt by their recipient? Only what Han Solo had to say in response would tell. Not likely, spat Han Solo, the captain of the fast spaceship known as the Millennium Falcon. Are the speeders ready? And now, as Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro knew, and Whiffs only sensed, they were having a conversation. Not yet, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. Not yet, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. We're having some trouble adapting them to the cold. Then we'll have to go out on tauntauns, Han Solo spat. Sir, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro respectfully, because he was respectful, sure, but also Han Solo had earned that respect. He continued, temperatures dropping too rapidly, he concluded. That's right, my friend's out in it, spat Han Solo. Whiffs told them, I'll cover Sector 12, have comm control set screen alpha, which I don't know what that means at all, but they all seem to, except maybe Han Solo didn't either because he pushed through and mounted a tauntaun or Hoth horse. Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker, Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro warned. Then I'll see you in hell, spat Han Solo. Whoa, exclaimed Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. Whoa, echoed Whiffs. Hey, man, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. Not cool, Whiffs echoed in sentiment, if not directly in content. Overreact much? Asked Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro cuttingly. What's up your butt? Asked Whiffs. My friend is out there freezing to death, explained Han Solo. I know, said Whiffs, but being mean to Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro isn't going to help anything. Thank you, Whiffs, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. Man, I was just warning you to watch out there. No reason for two of our really great guys to, freeze to death, finished Han. I didn't want to say it, didn't want to jinx it, but yeah, exactly. Not to mention, added Whiffs, that tauntaun is a living, breathing thing. Yeah, okay, but Luke is out there, spat Han. We're all worried about Luke, said Whiffs. We're all doing what we can. Which is what, Han Solo spat. Said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, we're monitoring the situation. We're working on adapting the speeders, not to mention telling you in the first place that Commander Skywalker hasn't come in through the south entrance, and then offering up maybe the explanation for that is that he didn't check in, because that's possible. Should we do a public address of the PA, suggested Whiffs, asking that if he's here, if Luke's here but didn't check in, to, let us know before anybody goes off on one of our limited number of tauntauns, which, have you noticed how bad they smell on the outside? As opposed to what? Han Solo asked. What? Asked Whiffs. Nothing. They smell bad. On the outside, said Han Solo. Yes. It's a weird distinction, Han Solo observed judgmentally. It's just an expression, said Whiffs. Is it? Spat Han Solo as a question. Whiffs clarified that he was local to Hoth, where the expression originated. Han Solo, who had never gotten off that tauntaun and wasn't going to anytime soon, dismissively stared at Whiffs, who could add to his memories of this tunnel that a hero had stared at him dismissively, which would not have been on his list of wishes for new memories for this tunnel, should he have kept such a list. Anyway, I'm going to go look for Commander Skywalker, Han Solo spat one last time before leaving on the unauthorized tauntaun. See you guys in hell. Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro put a hand on Whiffs' shoulder and said, maybe that's an expression where he's from, though I doubt it. I kind of hope he does freeze up because of how he was a jerk just now. Never beat your heroes, He's worried about his friend, said Whiffs, who had justified worse behavior from better people right there in that very tunnel. I'm worried about him too, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. Yeah, but are you friends? Well, I'd like to think so. And anyway, just because you're worried about your friend is no reason to be a jerk, Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro said. That's an expression where I'm from. Where are you from? Asked Whiffs, only now realizing that it had never come up before. Alderaan, said Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, as he thought lovingly of his home planet and his years spent there. Oh man, I'm sorry, said Whiffs. About what? Asked Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. You didn't hear? Hear what? Asked Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. I've been fortifying this base for months. Is there something I should know? Something about Alderaan? For the first time in their working relationship, Whiffs couldn't meet the eye of Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro. All of the wind went out of the young assistant officer, and as good as his imagination was, he couldn't think of a way to tell his mentor, his friend, what had happened. Whiffs got as far as, man, I gotta go do something else right now. Whiffs busied himself elsewhere while Deck Officer Tigran Jamiro, sensing something big was up with Alderaan, did some looking into what had happened, a path that would lead both Deck Officer and his assistant officer on a journey far beyond what he had never imagined for himself, but which Whiffs sort of had. And the galaxy would never be the same. End chapter 1.
That's great.
Thanks, man.
Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.